I'm Eric,
And I'm Steve.
Explorers of Ixalan and Targeting Rules Updates.
Let's talk about it.
Welcome back, Planeswalkers. Thanks for joining us again for another Let's Talk About It. Some interesting Magic news. One retail product that we've known a little bit about, or at least I have working at the shop, is Explorers of Ixalan. We've just gotten a video out within probably the last week that kind of shows what it is.
Yeah, it was like the last 3 or 4 days, something like that.
Yeah, it's essentially a board game with magic. It's really sweet. If you Google the image, or maybe we'll put a link to Wizards product review in the description or something. But it kind of shows just what the product's about. Essentially, it's a 4-player multiplayer game. I think MSRP is $64.99.
Yeah.
So similar to Arch Enemy Nicol Bolas. And then the idea, 4 tribes, just like what we did for our Commander Challenge. You know, vampires, merfolk, dinosaurs, pirates. And there's a board set up in front of you with hexagonal tiles, similar to like a Catan board. If
Yeah,
you
you hit it right on the head when you said that when we were watching the video.
Yeah, it's kind of odd, you know, because it's Mayfair versus Wizards of the Coast, but it looks like Catan pretty much.
I like the setup that as far as I've seen, like being able to, it's got the mana symbol on the tile, so you have to pay for that particular tile and then get it flipped over, and then how each one has a different type of effect. Like, is it a event, or is it a single time effect, or is it a blah?
Like
I think there was 3 of them
3
or
types,
something. Yeah.
Yeah, so essentially, like, the idea is you land. The outer ring is a single mana, right?
Yep. And then 2 and then 3, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're like exploring a new world, it's easier to get to the outside, the coast. You pay a mana, you flip over a tile, and it might say, get this one-time effect, as Steve mentioned. Or your creatures get +1/+0, or whatever. Like, I'm just making up an example, but...
And I'm curious as to if there's, in the game, if there's going to be like a mechanic in order to like steal tiles, or maybe like claim a tile after it's been claimed, or destroy them. Yeah.
And then, the further in, the next row might cost 3. The inner row looks like it costs 6 mana to activate. And then I'm sure there's some sort of win condition on either those ones, or you might get an earlier pog that says get 10 pogs and you win, something like that.
Yeah. Some secondary win conditions.
Yeah. Definitely looks pretty sweet. Even in the video Steve mentioned, like, they said Planes Chase players and Commander players would definitely enjoy this product, and that's exactly what it looks like.
We'll be looking forward to do like a morph into Commander with it, as we always are when there's new product coming out. So like Eric was saying, it's kind of cool because a lot of our work was already done for us because of the last Commander Challenge. So it's just like, oh, okay, let's just morph into Commander this product
and play some cool games with their stuff.
So yeah, addressing price tag. I don't think it's bad at all. As far as the reprint cards that have been already spoiled in this set, and we've only got like 12 of them, like, it's definitely going to be worth it. There are some cards in here, like Regisaur's Alphas maybe isn't a great example. It's just the first card on the slide here.
Yeah.
I know he's slipping a little bit in Standard just because there's not a big dinosaur push yet. But, I mean, we get to, Adaptive Automaton. That's like a $7 card already. So, I mean, you said the product was $69, something like that.
$65. So. Somebody was in the shop just yesterday, and they said through the stuff that's been added up, it's like $70 already.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I mean, that's a great card, Aggravated Assault.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the price is, but...
It's good, and it seems to be hard to find. Like, how many red-white players want extra combat steps? Like,
Well, and I think the last one was the Masterpiece from Amonkhet
series,
Yeah, either that or Hour, I don't remember. But
a good print, Beacon of Immortality, not bad. Probably not a ton.
It's actually surprisingly pricey. Like, I don't know if there's maybe just some life gain strategy in like Modern or wherever that uses this a lot, but
I'd see in EDH it says double.
Yeah, really.
And Shuffle, which is another good one.
Yeah.
Blatant Thievery, not bad.
I like the artwork.
New art.
They are going to do some new artwork on some cards, which is nice, and I actually really like this. It's different. It's interesting. It's got a pirate on it, so.
Yeah, the old one's pretty classic, but it's weird that a dinosaur's blatantly thieving, it seems.
Yeah, really.
Day of Judgment, not bad.
No.
Definitely a good one. Probably not a ton, though.
And this is a card that's been printed before, but new artwork, which is kind of cool. I'm excited about it. So I like the mist. It's an interesting effect, that's for sure.
Yeah. Quicksilver.
This is another big one.
Yeah, probably $6 to $10 card.
Yeah.
This is in the dinosaur deck. Big surprise.
Oh,
right?
really? Yeah.
So, and let's see. Shared Animosity. I
That's
think
the really big one.
yeah, so far. I guess there's still one more, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, as far as like price, I think this one's the most expensive one that's been released
Like
or
spoiled.
spoiled so far.
Yeah, I remember Kylie was looking for one for which deck? Oh, the Locust God.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it was, of course, you got all these Locust tokens, and they just get bigger and bigger because every turn he's swinging. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, just another one of those good ones.
I'll be looking forward to having another copy of this card. I only have one so far, so I
Yeah,
mean,
I've got one, and it's I think it's in my Minotaurs Black Red Neheb deck. Yeah, it's a good one, and it's another Morningtide, I think.
I know this is a little off topic, but like, I don't know if you've been paying attention to the story at all, but now they're actually starting to talk about the Minotaur Planeswalker guy
yeah.
and how he's
Angrath
pirating
or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's just like he's got to get a card next set,
Yeah.
and that's for you. That's just an automatic throw-in.
Yeah, I'd play them. Well, let's see. Maybe they might. They always talk about stuff and then they don't make
That's
characters.
true.
So
They save it for
Later.
we're gonna return here someday.
he'll be a commander someday, and he'll
Yeah.
just be like, "Oh, thanks. I wish he belonged in the set he came in."
Yeah, really.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, shared animosity. That's definitely one to pick up or keep if you buy this kit.
Oh yeah.
Threads of Disloyalty, not bad. For a while, I thought that was somewhat pricey.
I mean, I think it is still just maybe because of price memory, but I'm not
Yeah.
really sure where it's used.
Yeah.
Maybe in like some modern deck or something. I don't know.
I thought that's where it was played. I think it's from like Saviors, so
Yeah.
it's got to be modern. Yeah, and Time Warp was
That's another big one. Yeah.
that was one I was thinking about as far as the like big two so far. Shared Animosity, Time Warp.
Yeah, I mean, in comparison, this one's $15, where the other one's like $20. So
Okay, yeah.
they're, I mean, not too far off, but like, yeah, already there you've got $35 worth of value. So I mean, you've got essentially half your value in 2 cards.
Yep. Often, both of these are the big cards. When somebody comes into the shop looking, they'll be like, or I'll say, "Yeah, I don't think we've got this." Like.
Well, and who knows what the rest will be like? I mean, they are 4 60-card decks, so I mean, you're getting what
240
yeah.
cards.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's quite a bit, and of course there's a bunch of land, I'm sure.
Oh,
But
yeah.
even if it's like, if there's a Glacial Fortress and a Drowned Catacomb and like,
Well, and just like the Nicol Bolas product, I mean, like for me, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to convert it into the Commander whatever morph, and then I'm going to keep those decks together as like a board game,
Yeah.
And I think that's perfect. It is another Plains Chase, essentially.
Yeah.
Well, not really a Plains Chase, but
just
comparison.
a new way to play,
Yeah.
essentially, and that's what Plane Chase is.
Yeah, and people like that kind of fresh, like, hey, we've been beating the crap out of each other with our super uber competitive decks for the last 4 games. Let's try something a little bit different. Let's have a little bit of fun. So
Yeah.
I definitely enjoy that.
Yes, I think it's a good thing, overall.
Do you think you're going to pick up a copy, or?
I may, like, especially, like, I'm trying to think, if Christopher comes back and, he's just in town or something, you could just play, like...
I would think so, just because I know you in board games,
Yeah.
and like this is something you stick up on your shelf.
Yeah.
It's not
Okay,
something
let's-
you loot for parts, essentially. But
I mean, you certainly could, but I think you're right. The way
Yeah.
I'd approach it would be, these are all going to be, here together, and just keep it all together and play as the kit as you go.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that might be the end of that segment.
I accidentally bumped this and did something. There we go. Fix it.
So, or I guess Vanquisher's Banner,
Which it's a decent card. It's fine.
not bad. It's not doing anything standard right now,
No.
right? But it's good for EDH, especially tribal.
And we've kind of touched on this, I think, in one of the other podcasts that we did, but really I don't think anything from Ixalan as far as tribes is going to take off quite yet, besides maybe like Merfolk, because
Yeah.
they're doing okay, and like
Vampires are
vampires,
pretty good.
but yeah,
Pirates need some help.
Oh, yeah.
Dinosaurs need some help.
even in Commander, pirates just need help. I keep like wrapping my head around like potentially building a Beckett Brass, for fun, and it's just not there yet.
Yeah.
Whereas dinosaurs you can make work, but that's because of like a lot of erratas, a lot of like changelings that work with creature
Yeah.
decks, whereas pirates are more like Grixis pirate steel stuff. So.
Yeah, and even just the big Naya theme of dinosaurs,
Oh, yeah.
like you can kind of make that work outside of just dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So
It's kind of weird, like, as far as, like, when I was putting together the list for, this is another side note, if you haven't checked it out, we have a second channel now called Brew Preview, so we're trying to figure out how to feature it on the main channel right now, and for some reason we can't find the right toggle, but if you're curious, the main Collector Mania channel is subscribed to it, so you can probably get to it from there. so far we've got one video up on there, so we're still kind of working on it.
And it answers the question.
It does.
Can
Can
do
you build dinosaurs? And it's all about the Gishath Sun's avatar and what you can do potentially. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's just a side note. But as I was building that, one of the big things that I really found is that the dinosaurs really need that ally right now. They really need that supplemental humans to kind of like fill out their curve, because everything right now is like 3 and up. There are a few, lower costed dinosaurs, but they're like a 2-1 with haste, That doesn't really work too well in EDH. And even our big drops, honestly, aren't that great right now. We need to fill it in, because, yeah, we've got the Sun's Avatar guy, and, or not Sun's Avatar, that's Commander, but the other guy.
Waking Sun's Avatar, and then the Verdant Sun's Avatar.
Yeah, like those guys are okay. The Verdant Sun is interesting. I like the life gain aspect. I hope they double down on that, really, because they seem like they've established that, so I hope they don't walk away from it.
Yeah, that'd be good.
But,
yeah. Because there isn't a big red guy right now, right?
The big red guy is probably the
Burning Sun's Avatar.
Yeah, the Burning Sun's Avatar. There's one for each of them right now.
Yeah.
I honestly hope that either A, we get like a second commander, like a second Naya commander that maybe is like a little bit lower costed, or B, maybe get like a red-green, or red-white would be kind of odd, but just something else that you can potentially build other dinosaur decks with, because right now it feels a little like straight and narrow. There's only one path to go on, and that's it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's my little tangent.
I'm sure the Rivals set will flesh them out,
Yeah.
and make some of the bad choices like
better.
Yeah, make them cuts essentially,
Well,
turn them into good stuff.
And that's the other thing that I noticed too, is like Enrage, really, like there's not enough.
No.
Like I think there's like 6 really, well, maybe even 5 good really Enrage targets, and everything besides that, not so much.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
So, yeah, I think we're jumping on to our next topic.
Yes. So how did you come across this? Because you
Well,
brought this to my attention.
Yeah, I heard about it on a podcast that I listened to, and like I was just like, what are you talking about? And then I did a little bit of research and was looking into it, and then I found out, I think the initial spur into this was essentially like the Wakings are the Burning Sun's avatar on Arena supposedly only shows like choose target instead of choosing target creature or player. So people were obviously curious as to why the change was in the Arena compared to like just the card. The card says player, whatever.
Right.
And then, they did a little bit of digging, blah, blah, blah. Now we've got like almost like a confirmation that this is changing, which is interesting. And, we talked about it the other day, and I guess, have we even said what I'm talking about?
So, we can, as far as it's a targeting rules change.
Yes.
Instead of cards saying, well, some will still say this.
Yes.
But the big change is player now will, of course it means target player or planeswalker.
Yeah.
With redirecting, that's how it used to work. You'd say, I'm going to name Steve, I'm going to hit Steve Chandra, that sort of thing. But there's a lot of confusion. One thing that happens often with judge calls here at the shop, people say, can they do this? They're saying player can hit my planeswalker?
Yeah.
And of course that's the answer, but now they're trying to simplify it. So here we've got the lightning strike. The way it's printed now, 3 damage to target creature or player. If we think about it, creature is a creature, you can just hit it for 3. Player is the player, you can hit them for 3.
Yep. Or
you can choose to redirect. That isn't on the card, creates a lot of confusion. So what they've said, we'll flash this image here really quick.
Yeah.
This is a tweet from Aaron Forsyth that says lightning strike in MTG Arena currently says deal 3 damage to any target. So if you think about it, target creature and player is really all 3 types of targeting, targets, I guess. So
and it really just streamlines everything.
Yeah,
I think it should have been this way from the beginning, and I think it was actually. If you look at original lightning bolters, I think it does say pick 1 target, deal 3 damage to it, or something like that.
And if you think about, of course, it may have changed when Planeswalkers came out, but of course that's where it should have been when it started. Because that was the intent. There was creatures to kill or players to kill.
Yeah.
Then they brought in planeswalkers, and I'm sure at some point they said, "Hey, how do lightning strikes or lightning bolts or any of that deal with hitting a planeswalker?"
Yeah.
And that's where that kind of
Well, and the whole redirect thing just isn't. It's not streamlined. It's very clunky. New players, as you already said, don't understand it at all. It's just wait, Why wouldn't I just target the blah blah? Yeah, like I mean, I guess this doesn't really affect how you attack because you're either attacking the planeswalker or the player.
Right.
So I mean, it's
to fill in that weird spell damage.
Yeah.
End of things.
Which I find kind of interesting too now that they potentially will have cards that say instead of deal 3 damage to target planeswalker and player, they'll have cards that maybe just say deal 3 damage to target player
or planeswalker.
And you can't hit planeswalkers with it. So now there's like almost like a way to open up like other rare burn spells, stuff like that. So like you could have a burn spell that says deal 3 damage to target planeswalker or creature, and then leave player out there entirely. So
and even then that could change. Like we always talk about, like what's the there's one in Ixalan that's like a little wonky. It's the Merfolk one, the double black walk to plank.
Oh yeah.
And it's like this should be an instant, or this should be colorless, or this should be non-Merfolk, and it's like, of course, there should be non-Merfolk. But like you think of, that's one more like lever that they can pull to output a different spell.
Yeah.
And that is exciting. Like why wouldn't they say, like I think of Hero's Downfall, because that's the planeswalker or creature, right? Mm-hmm. Why don't they could just change it and make it cheaper, they can make it a different speed, like, and all of a sudden you've got a new like breed of those spells.
Yeah.
That's neat. Again, like I say this every episode, like they really, it's like we didn't know there was that area.
Oh yeah.
And then they broke down the wall. They said, hey, look at this design space, and they'll master it, I'm sure.
Broke down the wall.
What?
Like breaking down a wall.
If you hadn't noticed, we're not in our normal setup. If you've also noticed, there's tarp and the rest of the shop behind us. We're in our new space. We're going to do another quick video here at one point.
Yeah.
Just to kind of show you guys around. But we're in the middle of renovating, and we did knock down a big, probably, what? How far is that, Steve?
I mean,
30, 40 feet, maybe?
Yeah, well, it's maybe not. It's more like, I mean, it's quite a bit.
Yeah.
I'd say maybe 25. I don't know, something like that.
Good portion of wall. So we'll show you guys that in a little bit. But
yeah.
That was not intended, actually. But yeah, they're definitely. It's always surprising. They'll kind of change things and think of something new, make it work. Hopefully, like I could see them maybe tripping over themselves, but
I mean, it's the company's been around for however long at this point. They kind of. I mean, I wouldn't say kind of. They know what they're doing.
Know what they're doing. Yeah.
I'm sure all of this has been through playtesting. This to me is a very minor change.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
Something that should have happened a long time ago. Really. Something that maybe should have never even changed. Like it should have just read the way it does, and maybe start making new spells that target planeswalkers instead of like changing old spells to.
Because there's very few that say that. Like usually they say destroy target planeswalker.
Yeah.
Like there's not deal damage to planeswalkers.
They're mainly black. And they're like mainly like 4-costed. There's the Hero's Downfall that we talked about earlier, and there's a few other ones now, but mainly just instant speed spells that destroy planeswalkers and whatnot. And you're right, there aren't really any red spells that say deal damage to planeswalkers, except for like the Star of Extinction. Now we've got that where it deals 20 damage to a planeswalker and all that other stuff. But I don't know. We'll see what happens essentially.
Yeah.
As far as that goes, I'm sure there'll be some other changes, later on too. I think Arena is actually spurring on a lot of this. I think that a lot of different cards that are going to be coming out later, this year and maybe even to the next couple of years are going to try and be more simplified because they're trying to like fit it to that format to where they don't have to do as much, work essentially on the game.
You think of how often there are crossovers here or there, and then it's like you pick up the cards that this is all meant for, I'd say, and they're like, that's not how I learned, I think you're right. Because of course everybody can sit at home or stumble across an ad in an app for the Magic Arena or something, or on a website, and then all of a sudden you're playing Magic versus, if you weren't into the like nerdy culture, you might not step foot in a card shop. How are you going to learn to play Magic then?
Well, in Arena, I mean, that's something that you can just pull up on your phone. Compared to, I know like a lot of people make the comparison that Wizards is trying to get like the Hearthstone money or whatever. Mm-hmm. I hear that all the time on other podcasts, and really like it is a huge part of like the income that they could be generating. Like as far as like digital properties and stuff like that, but. I don't know. I don't want them to neglect the card game to focus on the digital game. That's
Does it feel that way to you?
that almost feels like it's getting close to a line. You know, it's just like, why? Okay, we're simplifying the game because there's a digital version now, which feels, I don't know, a little, depending on how they approach it, could be good, could be bad. Like this change obviously is good, but say they make less complex spells just because they want it to work in their program.
Online, yeah.
You know, that's something that I wouldn't want to see at all, you know.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you have any feelings on that.
You know, like you said earlier, I think they know what they're doing. I don't. You know, I could be dead wrong. I could. I hope they wouldn't. Like you said, I doubt they would. But you know, it does make sense that you know, a game company might, like, I'm thinking of some of my games that have changed, like board games. I know it's different, but like some of them, they'll say they'll take a player out.
Yeah.
So my copy has 3 to 5 players, and all of a sudden they say, you know, the game was too long, and it's not what we wanted, and now it's like 2 to 4, and it's like, what? Like, what do I do with mine now? You know, like, and you know, and I could see that. I doubt they do that. I guess I need to play Arena and check it out. Like,
yeah, me too. I mean, I guess what I'm trying to hit on here is like, what if, for example, I mean, what's a really complex spell that came out recently? I'm trying to think of one. Like, I can't really off the top of my head, but there are spells out there that are really like wordy, B, do something that is almost like counterintuitive to the way the game would usually work.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't want to see those crazy spells go away just because we're trying to make the game more appealing to somebody that's just picking it up for a second.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I understand that the Arena and MTGO are two separate things entirely. Like, MTGO is like Magic. Arena is standard, essentially. Like, that's all they're focusing on. Which, you know, maybe Arena is like a test probe or something, you know, like they're just like,
set of Magic.
Let's see how this goes. Let's not throw a which they already have, you know, they've thrown a lot of money into Arena. But will they take it and then place that into a MTGO replacement is what I'm getting at.
If it works, like, I think everybody is familiar with how MTGO is not what it should be, I think.
Oh, yeah. And that's always been a problem. I mean, people are always focused on that. I keep bumping this thing and unplugging it. We're trying something a little bit different. I'm monitoring our audio so we don't have any like loud spikes or, you know, just to make sure everything sounds crisp and clear, which it really does. Yeah. Oh gosh. As Eric said, this mic is so good.
It's like the coolest thing.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna mention one other thing. You talked about different rule sets and dumbing things down. Oh, shoot, I forgot. Whatever.
But yeah, I mean, that's where I'm coming from on this. It's like it could be really good or it could be really bad, which I guess in general is pretty much any change that they ever make.
Yeah.
You know, we never really know if something's going to be good or bad until we actually see it. And like I said, I don't want the card game to suffer for what the digital product or digital properties are trying to do.
Oh, yes, that's what I was going to say. I think overall, even if they keep the wacky spells that you want, or like the complex, like thoughtful spells that they're good at, and I think they're doing a good job at, and I think EDH players love. Like, even if you whiff, you like those. You like to play those spells.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But overall, like, I feel that Wizards is pretty good at saying this is a sample product. Like, beginning player, here you go.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't think that would necessarily be a reason to take away the wacky stuff or the complex stuff, because they could say, okay, cards to not include the wacky ones, the complex ones. We want here's like the sample deck with the 2/2 flyer for 3, like.
But do you think they would keep that? For example, do you think that they would include a card in the digital product and then, or vice versa, include it in the card game but keep it out of the digital product just because it's a more complex card and might be harder on the, I guess, game engine?
Yeah.
Or do you think they would just leave it out of the set? That's the argument that I'm getting at, is like, do you not print this card at all because it's going to mess with this property?
I see. I would hope not. I think if they're smart, they know that they wouldn't want to kill like the golden goose or goose that lays the golden egg, as far as like they've got the game has worked for almost 25 years.
Yeah.
Like, like I'm thinking back to, there was an old Dragon Ball Z card game that I used to play on the Game Boy Advance, so years ago. And of course I played the Dragon Ball Z card game, but it wasn't the same. I think
Yeah.
it had the first couple sets. You couldn't build the deck that you wanted to because it just didn't exist. Like in the cards, they had a very small card pool. So I mean, it could potentially happen. Hopefully, as fans of the cards, the in your hand cards, we wouldn't see that occur. We would see it happen the other way, where our stuff doesn't all make it into their stuff.
Yeah, I would hope so.
So, but
Which-
yeah, I don't think they wouldn't design a card just because.
I would hope not,
Yeah,
but you never know.
yeah, that's really true.
They could just be like, well, we're just going to release this in a supplemental product.
They're gonna
instead
wait
of,
until we
like-
put money down on it. And they'll
Yeah,
be like,
really.
We're gonna do the exact opposite of what these guys bet
Oh,
on.
God. Oh.
So,
Well, and then, speaking of that, like, do you think, because the big thing with, we should have actually just put Arena as like a third tag on this. Like, one of the big complaints that I've heard about Arena is that it doesn't include Commander play, and it doesn't include like anything other than,
Standard.
vanilla Magic, in my opinion.
and like you said, maybe that'll be where to
the
go.
testing ground, yeah.
I mean, like how easy would it be to fine tune the interactions of maybe like 1,200 to 2,000 cards versus like
Yeah.
18,000.
Yeah.
And all these extra rules of, oh my god, you can have 40 life and you lose the game at 20 commander damage, like, or 21 commander, like.
Yeah. So it adds a whole bunch of, spaghetti into our pot here, essentially.
So I wouldn't be surprised if that's why. If
Yeah,
they're-
I'm
'cause
sure.
They've really goofed up a lot with their online stuff.
Well, yeah, MTGO is like a glaring. It's like the nail, that needs to be
Yeah.
hammered down. They
Yeah.
need to fix it. I don't know when it'll get fixed. I don't know if it'll ever actually even get fixed. I'm pretty sure they'll just roll out a new product at some point and just be
mean-
like, this is new.
Yeah, I think this is it. Like, if they're trying it and it plays the same or whatever, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, I got to try it, but that would make sense to me. If
I'm
it's,
sure there's a demo that we could download or
I
something.
mean, they
like
gave
that.
out those little cards to pre-release players for betas, and
Did they?
yeah,
Oh, I didn't even know that.
they wanted that to be the way most people learned about it, was through like, hey, you're a pre-release player. Here's this that the store is supposed to give to you. Like, they were the treasure tokens for pre-release, the non-foil ones. Anywho, but they said, tell your players about betas, and we want them to be the first people to experience this rather than
Like, hear about it.
yeah, hear about it or see it on an ad or like be late to the game or something. They said the players
Yeah.
at your stores, the ones that come out to the event, should be the ones to try it. So
Which is cool and everything, but how many, I guess, side products can they really have?
yeah,
That's the other thing that I'm kind of thinking of, is like how many different games, which I guess the answer is yeah, they can have as many as they want because it's their property, but like,
Yeah.
and they've already got, a bajillion formats and blah, blah, but how far can you kind of like spread out? I don't know.
yeah. I think yeah, that's tough. That's a good question. I think if people feel it's too much, they just won't play it. Yeah.
Have you, in your positions a little bit different, have you started to notice like a kind of a resurgence of players ever since the last couple of sets have cycled out, and now we're into Ixalan and Kaladesh? I'm trying
Like
to
a
think
new
of this.
standard and
Yeah,
stuff?
essentially.
Yeah, I'd say so. Like, one of the weird things, and it's great, like, it's awesome. I thought for a long time, and I'll back up a little bit, we used to run Modern on Mondays. We used to have a good group of like 8 to 12 people, pretty consistent. This is probably about 2 summers ago. It kind of died off. Modern was gone. We put it on Fridays just hoping to get some players. And for a long time, it was like 2 or 3 people. Then it got to like 5 people, and they'd all join Standard at the end, or they just joined Draft because we couldn't fire a sanctioned event. And then all of a sudden, we ended up with 8 for Modern, and that kind of chugged along for a little bit. Again, like maybe 8 to 10 players pretty consistently. And then all of a sudden, like, it went up. We had like, for the last month, we had I think a 16-person Modern. I think we had a 20-person Modern. Like, it's just nuts. And then I think that's kind of died down. We've got Draft, which is going well. I mean, for a while we had like 20 some people drafting. Like, Standard was sometimes a smaller tournament. We Seth and Bobby and I and Nick would joke, like, for a few weeks we had Standard that was maybe not going to fire, and for a long time we're a Standard shop. We run Sundays, Wednesdays, Fridays,
Yeah.
And it's odd to see standard being so small. But people wanted to play these different formats, and I think that's starting to turn. I don't know what that speaks to as far as like the health of standard,
Yeah.
or the cards, or the bannings. People say I don't want to play modern because there's a chance whatever I buy gets banned. Like, have you heard that argument? I just bought Storm and they banned this card, or
Yeah, that's true. And, even it's kind of funny, like, even in our format, like, bannings have been kind of, like, taken off a little bit.
right. And you think of standard, like, I think the last banned card was Jace and, like,
Yeah.
That sort of stuff. And then all of a sudden
Then
it's just
all-
like,
yeah.
Emrakul, this thing, Copter, like the Aetherworks Marvel, this little cat, like.
I'm curious as if they would ever consider doing restricted instead of just straight up ban.
Yeah, and I had wondered that as well. You think of one Aetherworks Marble or one
Yeah.
Emrakul or something like, I think Smuggler's Copter was a ban, like,
Yeah.
but I think.
Well, that
again,
was. I mean, they were testing a very new area, and that's
Yeah.
vehicles. I mean, really.
Yeah,
And
I'm glad they did.
you can tell, like, when you got to Ixalan, you can look at the vehicles right now, and you're just like, why would I play this?
Yeah, they're not as good.
Like, yeah. I mean, the only one that's anywhere close is the ship that turns into the staff domination, essentially.
Yeah,
Like, and that's, well, not staff domination, but you know what I mean.
yeah,
A million different activated abilities. But, like, that card is good. The other vehicles are just like, why?
yeah. It's hardly a limited choice, even.
Yeah,
Like,
really.
It's just a flavor choice. Like, bottom line, I'm not sure if. I think Ixalan is a good fresh start.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I think most people are glad that Innistrad and BFZ are gone.
It's kind of funny to look at how many cards actually got taken out of the
Yeah,
pool.
yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people were just like,
My whole deck's gone.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. So I think there is that resurgence.
Well, in Kaladesh, like, Kaladesh is such a good set. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it really is. If you look at the cards that were printed in that set, it just blows me away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think about it, it's obviously not fresh anymore, and people maybe aren't analyzing it as much, but geez, like, the Gear Hulks are just ridiculous. The energy, obviously, that's a little bit more contained. It works really well
Yeah,
once you
it's
have
pretty
both
good.
sets put together. I'm hoping that Ixalan will be a lot like this when we get Rivals, and then, from here on out, who knows what's going to happen, since they're switching to it could be 1 block, it could be 3 blocks kind of thing, So, I mean, we'll definitely have that experience when we get to Dominaria, which is coming up, not super quick, but surprisingly fast, actually, because we've got...
It's Rivals in January,
then-
mid-January,
Then we've got the new core set,
which will be like April, May.
yeah, and then finally we'll get to Dominaria, which a lot of people are
Summer set.
losing their minds about,
And
so...
it is one set. It's only one
Yeah,
set.
it's just one.
So what's after Dominaria? Do we know yet?
Don't know yet.
Are we sure it's not going to be like a second set of Dominaria?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they've clarified that this is a
Single
standalone.
set.
Like, and it's got to be, I mean, I'm sure it's going to be like 360 plus cards or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to have, pretty, to me, it'll almost be like a powered up core set.
I was thinking like it sounds like 10th edition, like
Yeah.
a binder that's going to be this big. You
Yeah.
know?
Because it'll be, I mean, it's got to have its own self-contained mechanics.
Yeah.
Because it can't really, well, I guess it
It
could.
could harken back to all those old ones. Like
Yeah, but I mean, like, what will that do for standard though?
Yeah.
Because I mean, that
be
would
really
be the
wonky
thing.
for one set.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I keep looking at, and I know I've talked about this before too, is that they should include Raptors on this one because I believe the first actual appearance of Raptors was way back in the day on Dominaria. So that'll be nice for the Ixalan players because they'll get some dinosaurs out of an area that they didn't expect.
Yeah.
Which, as we just talked about for EDH, it's very like stagnant as far as like these are the dinosaurs, that's what you got.
Yeah.
So it would be nice to have more than one, I guess, breath of dinosaurs,
Yeah, for a while at least.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Yeah.
like touching on that again, I know we've kind of already talked about it, but like tribal, it's interesting when you get a new tribe because it's just like these guys aren't established because for the last so many years we've gotten pieces to tribes that have already been like either there wasn't enough to build them completely or there was enough and this is just more support. But now we're looking at an entirely new tribe that doesn't have any support and is just like a drift,
Yeah.
in its own little like, I'm here.
Yeah, its own 50 to
And
maybe 30 to 50 cards.
I'm curious as to if we will see more of that, you know, because obviously the first time they probably did that was in Lorwyn, where they were just like, here's Kithkin,
Yeah,
you know, here's blah, you know.
Because there were giants and merfolk. And,
yeah. Because were there fairies before that?
boy, I mean, I'm trying to think.
Well, there might have been
There
like
might
some
have been
older,
some.
but nothing compared to like what they have now. And,
Yeah.
you know, I guess Kithkin is the best example because I'm pretty sure
There
that's
were
the
very
first
few,
time.
if any, yeah.
Yeah,
I think
so
there might have been some in Future Sight, and then there was one in like the Dark or Fallen Empires.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, it's definitely a you know, it is interesting, and I'd hope that, again, like, I'd love to give them the benefit of the doubt because I think they're worthy of it. I think they hear that, and that, you know, even if they try and fail, I think they listen.
Yeah.
Like, you think of we need a why is it not Master Legendary, and then they give us like Ulrich.
Oh,
They
God.
tried, Steve. They at least listened.
No.
They said, "Hey, we need a Spider Legendary."
I
And
swear to
then
God, they were mocking us.
yeah. Then they give us Ishkana, you know, like
Yeah.
um
Although Ishkana, to me, is a different situation because Ishkana works. It doesn't have to be tribal because there's so many good spells that set up spiders. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
Arachnogenesis and spider spawning.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like this is just either really good include for like blocking flyers, or this is a really interesting commander that is kind of odd choice.
Yeah, and I think, you know, if you think of, there might have been 10% of people that were calling for werewolves. There was like probably 2% of people that were calling for spiders.
Yeah,
like,
really.
So yeah, but you know, I think wizards, dear God, dinosaurs is a safe bet for getting some more choices in the
And
future.
I'm still on the train of we will get a werewolf commander in the next commander product.
Yeah.
That'll probably be allied color pairs. I hope to God.
Girl probably.
Yeah, that would work for me. I would be happy.
Yeah.
You know, if they do something, you know, I don't even care. Just focus on tribal again. Just make 3 legendary werewolf commanders that you can just have fun with, and you know, they could take care of it really easily. We don't have to wait 5 years and go back to Innistrad again and be like, here's Ulrich 2.0. No. So
We'll see.
Yeah, we will see. So anyway, I think we're going to call it a little early today. You know, we've got a lot of
some stuff to do.
So
Yeah. What do you think, Steve?
I'd say we've talked about it.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll catch you guys next time. And like, as Steve mentioned, if you're still around, definitely check out the Brew Preview channel.
Yes.
We'll find a way to feature that, but we will definitely have that in the future. So
yeah, I'm sure we could actually put a link somewhere or something.
Description. Check the description or end screen annotations, whatever.
Yeah.
So
We'll figure it out.
cool.
Thanks
Thanks,
guys.
guys.